my name is Brendan Casey. I'm the Commissioner of Emergency Services for Orange County. I'd like to introduce a couple people. We have County Exec Steve Newhouse, Chief Rick Hovey from the Windsor PD, Vinny Tangasali, Orange County Fire Coordinator, Mike Biggs, New Windsor Ambulance, Senator Larkin's here with us today, Town Supervisor George Green, and we have Superintendent of State Police George Beach, who's going to handle the introduction of the state people that are here and talk a little bit about the state response after I read my initial statement. At 10:19 a.m., 911 received a call of an explosion and a fire at Verla International, located at 463 Temple Hill Road in New Windsor. It's a 52,000 square foot facility. It's a cosmetic manufacturing plant, mostly nail polish, perfume. Responding firefighters, as they entered the building, were met with a second explosion, which injured 7 firefighters. 2 of the firefighters have been transported down to Westchester for burn injuries. There are 30 plus additional injured people who have either brought themselves to medical facilities throughout the area or were brought there by ambulance. None of the injuries at this point are life-threatening. Out of an abundance of caution, the Orange County Department of Emergency Services issued a shelter-in-place order for a half-mile radius around the incident. This is not a Tier 2 hazmat facility. We don't believe any large hazmat material was released as a result of this. 30 different fire agencies responded from multiple counties. The Orange County Emergency Medical Service Mass Casualty Plan was initiated to support this effort. Approximately 250 employees worked at that facility. There is 1 unaccounted for at this time. Superintendent Beach.
Thanks, Commissioner. Governor Cuomo ordered a full state response to assist local and county officials. That includes the state police. We worked closely day by day with the New Windsor Police Department. In addition to that, Commissioner Roger Carino, Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, responded. Commissioner Howard Zucker, Dr. Howard Zucker, Department of Health, and Commissioner Basil Sagos from the State Department of Environmental Conservation. Our folks, our personnel, will remain on scene doing monitoring, although Commissioner Sagos will get into that a little bit more if you have further questions. We will remain on scene to assist as long as we're needed, and requested to do so by the local and county officials. Thank you.
Just one note on that shelter-in-place order, that was lifted at 1:30, so it shouldn't affect the earliest school releases at 2 p.m., so school should be on their regular release schedule. At this time, we'll take a couple questions. Just remember, it's still an active fire scene at this point. These are all preliminary findings, so we'll try to answer the questions as best we can, and I will kick it off to whoever is the particular expert. Ma'am?
Can you talk about how many firefighters responded, air quality concerns right now for people who are actually breathing that smoke, or the employees that were breathing the smoke?
Vinny, you want to come up and answer about the fire response? Sure.
As the Commissioner stated, we had over 30 fire agencies from multiple counties working together with state resources on this incident. Total amount of firefighters, we're thinking probably around 120 or so firefighters on scene right now. As for air monitoring, that's being conducted by our DEC partners, and they're checking for any issues with the air quality, but at this time, I believe the air is not been determined to be hazardous.
What's the status with the flames right now? Where are you with putting out this fire?
Right now, we're utilizing foam resources, local as well as state foam resources, to actually control the fire. It is still an active fire, and the firefighters working it both with exterior operations in conjunction with interior operations when they're able to.
It's too soon to know exactly what the full suite of chemicals may have been inside the building. The primary chemical used to create the nail polish has been alcohol-based, but there are obviously additives to that, colorants, additives, and then there's the facility itself, which is on fire. We're endeavoring to find that out.
This factory had 12 OSHA violations in the spring, 9 of which were considered serious. Did either the town or the state have concerns about the plant itself and the safety there?
It's the first I've heard about OSHA.
We don't have a OSHA representative here. That's something that we'll refer to them. Anytime workplace incident like this happens, I know OSHA comes in, does a review of it, so they'll take a look at it, and we'll certainly take into consideration any of their findings.
And just a follow-up, does anyone who was on the scene today know if the chemicals were stored safely?
By the time the officials arrived there, it was engulfed in flames. The initial fire units were met with a second explosion, so there wasn't a lot of time to look around.
Do we have any
I'm sure it'll all come out.
Do we have
What
any
were the
indication what?
circumstances when the first units arrived, that they were going in, and then what happened after that?
As I understand, the first arriving fire department units from Valesgate Fire Department, as well as City of Newbury, were encountered with heavy smoke that was pushing from the building. They attempted an interior attack and were pushed back by the explosions and the heavy amount of smoke and fire. That's pretty much what we have in the first-hand reports.
What did they say, what do you know about those explosions, where in the building they were compared to what the firefighters were entering?
I'm not sure of the exact proximity to them, but it was in the same structure they're trying to attack the fire.
Vinny, with this type of facility and the weather conditions being what they were, share with us what are the particular challenges when it comes to fighting a
Well,
fire like this?
the weather part is the wind. That pushes. Anytime you have fire, you have a big wind source that could expand the fire. In this case, I don't believe that affected the building itself because it was fairly contained within the building. But that is a very concern at times.
And also, when you're dealing with this type of facility and the chemicals that are inside, share with us what hazards and precautions you need to take.
I'm sorry, I don't repeat.
With this type of facility and the chemicals and alcohols that are inside and knowing what they manufacture there, share with us what particular hazards you and your firefighters need to take.
So anytime we encounter a fire in an industrial type building such as this, as we enter the building, we take an abundance of caution. We wear full PPE, which are protective equipment, as well as we bring the resources in, our subject matter experts, which are our hazmat team. In this case, our Orange County hazmat team is taking the lead, but are working closely with the state hazmat team as well. They come in and we utilize our monitoring resources to check to ensure that it's safe to continue operations. Our first priority is for life and property, so we'll don our PPE and attack the fire the best we can, conditions allow.
Were
That's on the chemical
those second firefighter injuries from the second explosion once they were already inside the structure?
I'm not certain exactly at what point the injuries were from. There were a first set, I believe, of 3, and then subsequent ones after, so it may have been a different indication.
And what kind of
What do we know about the person who's missing? An employee?
I think that's the chief of it.
Chief Hubby, we're currently trying to locate family members of this unaccounted person for us, so we're actively at this moment trying to determine where he is.
That's
Uh,
an
what-
employee.
That's an employee of the company.
And what kind of injuries were sustained by both firefighters and employees, or what?
Most injuries got EMS treated with some burn injuries, a lot of injuries from falling when the explosion happened. The explosion did cause people to fall over. Other than that, a lot of smoke inhalation, irritation because of the smoke and fire. EMS was on scene within 2 minutes, and they did evaluate a lot of people on scene, but many went by private vehicle to the hospital and urgent care centers.
Do you know how many people went to Westchester? Or?
At this time, we're being told that 2 went to Westchester as of the only burn center in the region. So anybody with burns will be transferred to the burn center.
What sort of cleanup, if any, is involved with this?
For EMS wise? So I can handle that. That was like a DEC. So we're thinking about 2 things, air and water. Not to mention just the on-site issues. I'll leave that to the emergency response professionals. Air and water we are looking at right now. So on the air side, we've got canisters on the way, which will be deployed over the next 24 hours to constantly grab the air emissions. That'll give us a picture of what's in the air. On the water, we have teams right now down behind the facility intercepting some of the runoff that came from all the water that was being dropped, water and foam that's being dropped on the building, and anything that might have been stored in the building that's running off, so preventing that from getting into Silver Stream. I will say that there is not a concern about drinking water at this time. The facility is downstream from drinking water sources. But nonetheless, we obviously are concerned about any discharges to the waterway, and we'll be monitoring that going forward. It'll be part of the cleanup that might be needed.
Do we know where
What
the,
would you say to the residents and people who work nearby about the air quality? Is the air safe to breathe?
Well, Brian, at this point, right now, the air appears safe to breathe. We're going to monitor that long term. I think the emergency response teams are going to be pushing out advisories as they deem fit based on the smoke and the patterns of the smoke that's coming from the facility.
do we
What
know
about
where?
the people
do
who
we know-
live right in the area and the children who go to school right in the area? There was a shelter-in-place order. What were the concerns that prompted you to put out that order?
Well, we knew that it was a chemical explosion that caused this. It was not a tier 2 facility, so it wasn't a high-level hazmat facility. We believe that whatever chemicals were in the fire or the smoke were alcohol-based. We just felt out of an abundance of caution that we put that shelter in place, keep people inside their buildings, get your pets inside, close your windows and doors. Once we felt that the fire was somewhat under control, and we had a little better handle on, we were more sure that no real hazmat was released, we lifted the order. So the DEC is going to deploy their air monitoring units, but at this time, we always have to take into account what do we know that's there at the facility. And there are facilities in Orange County that have high levels of hazmat, that it's automatic evacuation, it's given a set amount of distance away from it. This is not one of those facilities, so that's where we're at with this.
Is the fire under control?
It's not out yet, so it's a tough call at this point. It's an active fire scene, and it'll continue to be an active investigation scene going forward. Again, preliminary, we'll take maybe one more, and then we got to get out of here.
Did it happen on the manufacturing floor in the storage area? Where did the fire actually occur inside the building?
Vinny, do we know that?
I believe it was in the area in the rear.
Can you step to the mic, Vinny?
But was it like an active manufacturing area, or where they were storing the chemicals, or just?
I believe it's an active area where they perform their operations to treat the products that they do there.
And
Can you give us your
what
name,
sparked
please?
it?
Can you give us your name?
Sure, it's Vinny, V-I-N-I, last name Tankasali, T as in Tom, A, N as in Nancy, K-A-S-A-L-I.
And what's your title
Fire coordinator.
for the town of Orange
Orange
County? Let me ask you, you talk about abundance of caution. If you were firefighters going into a scenario where they face an explosion, how does that happen?
Right, and the abundance of caution is when you enter a facility like that, the firefighters were all trained that there's potential hazmat products there, which if reacting improperly can cause an explosion. So that's when we talk about when we enter a facility like that, we're conscious of it. We're always looking for the possibility of that, but we do have a job to do as firefighters. So our firefighters do enter the building, and they'll assess the scene through their officers to be in a good state to continue operations, or if they have to back out at some point.
Do you think something should have been done differently so they didn't walk into a second explosion?
No, I can't say that this time, and the firefighters did what their job is to do that.
We've had a tremendous show of support from the federal and state government. The governor has called us earlier this morning. Obviously, you see all the commissioners here. This is an active scene, so we're going to get back to work. We appreciate everybody.
At the end, I don't think we're going to do another compressor unless it's warranted. So thank you all.